Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers, this is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown Day 115 by my count. And we got some more chop talk, stupidity, insanity, bedlam. I don't know, man. I feel like I said it and it just, maybe I have a confirmation bias, but I swear the world does not get better, it only gets worse. Last night, or early this morning, if you prefer, several individuals that I don't know too many details about them specifically, stole an SUV and went on a crazy car attack shooting in the chop, right? They actually drove into Cal Anderson Park and were shooting people. The security, I'll say quote-unquote security, forces inside the chop stopped the vehicle with their own return of gunfire, injuring one of the suspects, and I believe everyone was apprehended and I assume turned over to police. I'm just assuming. One of the suspects is 16 years old, and they shot a 14-year-old, and I believe the 14-year-old was in critical, or the 16-year-old was in critical. I can't remember specifically. There's some pictures of blood in the front seats of the car, and pictures of some of the bullet holes through the vehicle. Wild speculation abounds, basically. White supremacists, Proud Boys, maybe gangland stuff. Who knows? We don't know the specifics yet, and because these people were minors, it's going to take some time before we are told any specific details. Maybe some of the other suspects involved were of age. But this kind of thing, this is the thing. Attacks like that happened before the chop. I mean, America has been awash in bloodbaths of various kinds for some time, and it's not exactly surprising that someone would do something like this, although the chop is a unique situation for it to happen in, and then you add this shooting to the other shootings and killings over the last, week, really, and a really stark picture starts to emerge of what's actually going on here with this kind of lawlessness, and it's just not good. It's not good optics, as they say, whoever they are. They say that, and that's a thing that makes it's true. What does this mean for the chop? I don't know. I mean, are they going to finally axe the chop? You see what I did there? Because the mayor doesn't want to unleash the police on the people who are still there, because it's gonna videos will go viral of police knocking skulls and everything else, and it will look really bad. Now, the police chief also doesn't really want to have this on her hands, so she's not gonna want to either, but at the same time, the whole city looks bad, man. I mean, this looks like a farce to the rest of the world. You can call it woke-a-dishu, and people just laugh because they're like, yeah, I get it. You can defend the chop, you can defend the Black Lives Matter movement, but even the local black leaders have kind of jettisoned the chop. They are not endorsing this. And you see residents getting upset, and for good reason. I mean, the whole thing's turned into like a giant homeless camp. I mean, and then the idea of defunding the police, which I've gone over this multiple times. See previous videos where I have it in the title, defund the police, trying to make sense of what it is that people are wanting and demanding, right? This isn't helping. Gunplay, violence, all the graffiti and everything, yeah, you can clean that up, but like, this whole thing doesn't look very good, and in fact, for the non-woke, I guess, this just looks like chaos with no purpose. And I'm starting to agree with them. I don't know if this is, again, helping the cause of getting people to understand that Black Lives Matter, which is really how this all started, right? I'm tired, you guys. I'm so very tired. Like I said, it just all gets worse. It doesn't get better. And we're not even at the bottom yet. Like, the election is coming up. As we get closer to this election, man, everything is just going to get wackier. Are we going to get a second wave of coronavirus? I mean, it sort of looks like we've hit that in some places. Like, you know, California is like locking back down. Texas locking back down. Going back down a phase. This is something that I said would happen. We're going to modulate between different phases at different times for different reasons in different locations. New York City's body count was really high because they put COVID patients in nursing homes for some ungodly reason. And then they blame Trump for the body count. I can't sort all this stuff out and make it make sense. It's all insanity. Then you got the Cul de Sac Caucasians down there in St. Louis. Is it St. Louis? I don't know. I don't know if I care. St. Louis. There, I said it. The Black Lives Matter protest group, marchers, demonstrators, broke down. This is the images going on viral on the interwebs. There you go, buddy. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. They broke through the door of the gate of a gated community, and Robert and Karen came out with their guns, and I don't know what their names are. I saw their names, but I don't remember what they are. And the guy's wielding his AR-15, and the lady's got a little pistol, and they are standing their ground against this mob of people because they are on private property. They're not allowed to be there. I don't know if that means that they're legally allowed to brandish weapons at them, which is what they were technically doing. But yeah, so we've had rooftop Koreans, we've had storefront Sikhs, and now we have Cul de Sac Caucasians. Yep. Now, no one was hurt. There's that. No one got hurt. There's just some angry words and some brandishing of weapons. But, you know, the mayor, I guess, lives in that neighborhood, so they were going to go march to the mayor's house and demonstrate there. All right. All right. I mean, look, these things are all First Amendment and Second Amendment things, and you're allowed to do all this stuff, and just try to stay on message, guys. That's the only thing I can say is, like, again, there's sort of symbolic things, right? Everyone's very upset at these two people because they had guns and pointed them at the crowd or whatever. Okay, not very responsible gun handling, in my opinion. But, you know, I wasn't there. And they're allowed to have them. Again, I don't know if they're allowed to point them at people, but there are people on video saying they're going to take their guns from them and they're going to kill them and they're going to kill their dogs and all this stuff. Not a good look, guys. This isn't helping, okay? Sometimes the police do stuff and I'm like, guys, this isn't helping. When they're on tape talking about how they want to hunt down N-words, you're like, that is, oh God, guys. You gotta be a little bit more aware of what's going on than to say things like that. I'm not saying hide your racism. I mean, there it is, blatantly, but it's not helping, guys. Not helping people trust you, all right? And then this is the same thing with these protesters. When you're getting these shootings in the CHOP, you're getting these people are breaking into, like, private neighborhoods and all this. If you'd had your blinker on, then I would have let you over, but you didn't, so don't glare at me, dummy. You guys can't see that. It was a Mini Cooper or whatever with some girls in it. They glared at me because they didn't put their blinker on. Such terrible drivers in this city, I swear to God. Anyways, like, I hope that, okay, so like Missouri. Was it Missouri? They voted, kind of overwhelming majority, really, to remove the Confederate flag portion of their flag. Like, their flag is like 3 sections and one of them is like a Confederate flag. They voted to remove that. Okay, I mean, I feel like I'm relatively indifferent to most of this, like, statues conversation and the rebel flag conversation and everything else, because it's like, okay, if you voted to remove it, okay, replace it with something that's not a flag that is traitorous to the country or whatever. But, like, I don't think it's gonna do nothing. Like, it will do something for the image of the state, I guess. But I hope that it does something positive for someone, for Black Missourians. I don't know what to say. It's like, will this change anything? I don't see that it does. It's again these symbolic things. You tear down the statue of Christopher Columbus. Okay. He's still like launched the colonization of America, yada yada yada, now we're all here. Like, tear the statue down, okay. Is that going to help the Black unemployment rate? Is that going to help the Black crime rate? Is that going to help it? Again, it's like the taking the knee thing. It's like, I don't see that taking the knee is anything more than just like a sort of symbolic gesture, and when you stand back up, everything is still exactly the same. So maybe I'm just so cynical at this point that I don't see a connection between a statue of Jefferson Davis, which, again, not a great thing to have up in your like state house in the South or whatever, but fine. I don't think the statue of Jefferson Davis being there is what's causing, Black criminality. I'd say the war on drugs is probably doing more to drive like Black poverty and fatherlessness and all this other stuff. Now you can point to the policing, but again, that's part of the war on drugs. Maybe we reform the war on drugs, maybe we change the policing, We don't need to go so radical as like defund the police. You won't need as much policing if you just dial back drug enforcement. Just an idea, something real. This is a real policy issue that would directly affect the number of people interacting with law enforcement, when and where and why. And for a thing that is increasingly viewed as a victimless crime, because it essentially is, it's not an endorsement of people being intoxicated or anything, but people get intoxicated and we arrest them when they're doing irresponsible things, not just for simple possession. For things like alcohol or whatever. Now, some places are starting to just not enforce things like marijuana laws. Now, the feds, it's up to the feds. If they want to come in and enforce it, that's up to them, because the local law enforcement in many places, like Seattle, have basically said, we actually, functionally, it's legal. That's why we have the shops and everything, right? Now, there's an actual policy that would directly affect the negative policing, is what I've been referring to it as, the negative policing of Black people in America. There you go. I'm not saying I just solved the whole problem. I'm just saying that's a direct, real step. It's not removing a statue. The statue isn't actually really hurting anyone. The laws, the thing we actually are executing, change that. See what happens. I don't know. Seattle didn't miraculously become a better place when we legalized marijuana, though. That is true. In a sense, the city has continued to progressively get kind of worse, to be quite honest. But I don't think that's really correlated to the marijuana legalization. I think that's correlated with various other city policies, to be quite honest. So, I don't know. Thinking about announcing my mayoral run. I think I can figure this whole place out, and we'll get this all sorted out in one term. Okay. That's enough for me for one day. Bye.